Hello YouTube, I hope you're doing fantastic. Welcome to my patch 25.10 tier list. This tier list shall help you to understand which champions are strong, what unique tricks you can use on certain champions, and also what I would recommend you should use to climb. Now, before we jump into the tier list, I want to tell you guys, whilst you're watching this, I'll be live streaming, most likely, because today I'm planning on doing a 10-hour stream. So I'll be live on Twitch TV, it is in the description, and we are very close to 60,000 followers. Only 290 left. We're very close on reaching it. I wish you the absolute best and enjoy my jungle tier list.
My blade is yours.
Since we're back from Korea, I started also tryharding in EU West again. I want to make a climb to the top. Now we play since around 15 days, so around 2 weeks we started tryharding again, and we climbed now from a Diamond 1 to 857 LP Grandmaster. That means we need only 200 more LP in order to get Challenger again on the EU West server. As I told you guys, I'll be live tryharding, climbing all the way up with both Viego, Master Yi, and Bel'Veth. With that being said, let's jump into the tier list. So first things first, we start of course with Amumu. This tier list is centered for lower MMR climbing to higher MMR. So from Ivern all the way up to Diamond minimum. I intentionally don't focus on Master, Grandmaster, Challenger tier, but still there's gonna be a lot of nice takeaways. Now, the champion you should be playing doesn't need to be S tier, it should be the champion you enjoy playing. Yet still, if a champion is S tier and you enjoy it, of course you won the lottery. Starting with Amumu, I think Amumu is S tier, especially to climb, very basic. You can play very well with the grubby spawn on minute 8. Your clear is fantastic, your gang setup is great, you have a lot of room to play in even numbers, slight numbers advantage, one of the most important jungle fundamentals. And if you do that tip on Amumu, you will have a very easy time. Just make sure that whenever you have a fight, you have one more on your team than on the enemy team. And if it's the opposite, you don't take the fight. And then trust me, it will be extremely easy to climb. Next, we're gonna talk about Brand. Brand has a very high win rate throughout all the elos. Now, I want to say that I personally don't think that Brand is necessarily the best because he's very easy to lock down. Champions like Zyra, I'm instantly gonna take her here as well. Zyra is a better version of Brand. So probably I would put it around B tier and Zyra around A tier in terms of climbing, because Zyra has unmatchable full clear. Zyra has a lot of control over a fight with her ult, with her plants that give extra vision, and she has more room for the fight. For Brand, if he misses his Q, he's very easy to kill for assassins. Zyra can always play very slow. Of course, she can also miss her E, but even if she misses her E, she has a lot of damage output. Her ult comes out later. Brand ult is all instant and a skill shot that you can dodge with, for example, Master Yi Q, with Maokai W, or you can just try to kite it out. A Zyra plant will stay there for a while and it's very hard to play around it. So the siege from Zyra is therefore better. Ekko is very underrated. I will also probably pick him up myself. Let me know in the comments if you want to see an Ekko guide. I saw Velja playing it. I love playing it. He's probably my best AP champion that I have to offer as well. Would be really cool to see an Ekko game. Now, I have to say that Gwen is better than Brand and is underrated. You can climb very well with him, especially if you know that in the early game you're gonna respect it, that you are not that strong. You wait for your Nash's Tooth, your first secondary item spike, and then you will be instantly a monster with that. With a secondary item spike, you can lock down enemies very well, especially going for counter ganks. You're very strong with that. Bel'Veth, to climb with, is 100% A tier. She has a lot of weaknesses. Her win rates overall are great. If you want to get better on Bel'Veth, I just recommend watch the games I play. Focus on nice itemization, clearing the right ways, not playing too cheesy, yet still playing for her strength, that you are one of the strongest level 1 champions in the entire game. So you can cheese, do a level 1 cheese on enemy chickens, or you do your chickens into enemy blue buff Grump, play very aggressively, yet still making sure that you're playing consistent, getting all your camps done. Briar in lower MMR, the lower we go, the higher Briar goes. Yet I have to say, to climb, she's not the best choice if you were about to pick up a new champion, because the moment she engages, it's very hard for her to disengage. She has a very all-in tool, not very poke heavy, and the moment the enemies can't stat check her, she's just gonna fall off. There are other champions that do the same in a better way. That's why I will put her B tier, maybe even Z+. Next, talking about Diana, very strong pick, got nerfed heavily, isn't that strong right now, but in general, the champion and the way the champion works in solo queue is and will always be absolutely beautiful, especially if you want to learn jungle and you're new to jungle. Then I would still highly recommend Diana, especially before picking up a champion like Zyra. Talking about Dr. Mundo, very high win rate throughout all the elos. He is actually S tier. I have to say S tier under one condition, playing against the right team comp. If you want to play Mundo, I have Mundo guides on YouTube. I love playing Dr. Mundo, he's very strong, but you need to play him if the enemies do not have percentage health damage to kill you. Because if enemies pick champions like Master Yi, Cockmaw, Vayne, it will be very hard for you and they will be able to shred you. If the enemies pick champions like Xin, Dr. Mundo is already a great pick because Xin barely can touch Mundo, his health bar. Elise always has been very, very strong. To climb, I wouldn't say necessarily the best champion, so I will put Elise a little bit worse than Brand. I would recommend to pick up Brand before Elise. Now, still, if you want to pick up Elise, then make sure that you enable her strengths very well. First of all, invading. Very annoyingly, it's very hard to kill her. She has a great disengage. She can tower dive insanely well. Very hard to play versus. And be careful that you don't die stupidly on Elise, because even if you're 10-0 with Elise with Mage Eyes and then you die once or twice, enemies already outscaled you. So Elise is getting outscaled from a lot of comps. And you need to make sure that once you're in a snowball position, you play through a win condition, which is another fundamental that I talk in depth in all my coachings and my course. Of course, everything is in the description. Make sure that you have a tool, at best an AD carry or the mid lane carry, from which you can have setup and damage burst on your CC. Evelynn got some buffs, but doesn't really get into the meta. She isn't that strong. She is Z tier. Briar, Elise, Brand are 100% straight up better. I also wouldn't say I recommend picking her up, but there are so many people that enjoy playing Evelynn. I'm very certain that if you want to make her work, you can make her work because she's very unique. It's very hard to play versus. You can punish enemies' mistakes very well with her. And I'm very certain that she will get buffed, probably again. Because when Riot Games wants to buff something and it doesn't get picked up often, then they will buff it again. We have a lot of countless experiences with that. Fiddlesticks is a very interesting pick. I think Fiddlesticks could fit into the meta in terms of climbing as a one-trick pony. So picking him up, knowing the angles from where to ult will never change. Because there is no learning curve in the elo you're playing. Very important note, if you're playing, let's say, in gold platinum and you find a cheesy way of killing the enemies, let's say with Fiddlesticks ult at certain angles and corners, you will play the next game and you will be able to have the same strategy working precisely the same way because you're playing against different people. Because there's so many millions of people playing League of Legends, they will not even notice that you're doing a cheesy strategy. So especially in low MMR, same with Bel'Veth level 1 chickens invade, with Fiddlesticks finding the right corners, these cheeses can work consistently without enemies learning. I have the issue that I play with the minority of players, the best players in the entire world. If I do cheese, let's say I do level 1 cheese with Bel'Veth, they will eventually notice that I can do that. And then they will respect it and defend themselves. But especially below Master Tier, you can abuse it. Now that is the reason I will put Fiddlesticks on B tier. Not the strongest, but very good to climb. I would even say he's better than Briar. 100% actually. He's better than Briar. So left to right also matters. Let's talk about Gragas. Gragas is just a better top laner than he is a jungler. Yet still, I think he is good with, again, the right setup for your team. That means you have an AD heavy sourced team comp that also has DPS. Because if you play Gragas jungle, even if you go full AP, you have maybe a lot of burst, but little DPS nor poke. Your Q is not enough poke. You won't get to the enemies that quickly. And you also squishy yourself. So best is champions with Zion, champions that are like Yone, that are frontlining and having DPS. Gragas works very well with. Yet still, other champions are better. He is better than Evelynn 100%, but champions like Diana do very similar things than Gragas. So if you play with Yasuo Yone, I would way rather pick a Diana also for the synergy than ever picking a Gragas. That's also a reason he's not picked up at all. Now, Graves jungle hasn't been on the radar for a while. I would view Graves as completely fine to play, so I will put him around B tier. I do have to say that his reasoning to get picked up is because he has more damage output burst than you have damage output burst onto him. That means he kills you slightly faster than you kill him. If that is not the case, Graves is not strong. And right now, so many champions have so much damage that Graves doesn't fit because they kill themselves in similar times. But Graves needs to kill them faster because Graves has no other way but fully stat checking. With flash auto attack, E auto attack, ult. You know, that's full stat check. And if he can't overwhelm the enemy jungler or the enemy carry, he will have a problem. That's why he needs to be in a snowball position, because if he goes even against a champ like Viego, he will just fall off. Now Viego, very beautiful. He has very low win rate. Throughout all the elos, I think it's straight up disgusting because this champion is so insanely good for solo queue. That is why I will put him S tier. Even though he's D tier throughout all the ranks, 48% win rate, I do not care. If you want to climb, you can pick up Viego. I can make a Viego guide there as well. I made an unranked to master series with Viego. I play Viego on stream. Copy pasta what I play. Punish enemies. Wrong movements. Get one catch in a fight. And then you win the entire fight. If you play against 4 challenger players and enemy support is gold, you can win just by picking Viego because you will catch the gold player. You will get the reset. And then you can kill the challenger players as well. So if you want to climb, learn Viego and climb. A lot of people will disagree with a few points I have in this tier list, but I'm not here to be comfortable. I'm here to tell you the truth, what I believe, and I'm here telling you actively that I want to help you. I can help you learn Viego. Now, Gwen. Very interesting. I think champions like Brand, Elise are stronger now than her in the jungle. She's a fantastic top laner and she's completely fine in the jungle. In Korea, she's been picked a lot. If I look at it, I think she's better than Fiddlesticks, slightly worse than Elise, slightly worse than Brand. I think you can climb higher with other champions because there's also some counter matchups from Gwen. Like Gwen is fantastic against ranged enemies, especially AP ranged enemies where she can just W like Syndra. You know, once that is happening, or like Talia, champions that cannot get enough damage off on the Gwen. But if she's playing against melee, she's not that great. So Mundo here, Dr. Mundo and Gwen are very situational. I would say Graves as well, very situational. Depending, more like, okay, let's say more Dr. Mundo and Gwen are very situational. Graves, I do believe that also Viego, Bel'Veth, and all the other champions I will bring up are just a tiny bit better than Graves right now. to pick consistently. All right, Hecarim, there are still one-trick ponies that climb all the way up to high challenger. I would say is underrated. There is one thing you need to do with Hecarim, and that is a big tip for all the Elos, which Hecarim players do not do. Besides Hancho, he does it, and also the Hecarim players I played against in Korea, is learn when to invade. Same with Rengar. So I will put them in the same level because I also think Rengar and Hecarim are both very underrated. Hecarim even being better than Rengar. I would say Hecarim is even better than Zyra, better than Bel'Veth for sure. Zyra is also better than Bel'Veth. Around this is very accurate. You can outclear anything. And you can stat check the enemy jungler on his chickens very easily. That means at the right time. Your Q stacks up at 3 times and nothing can fight you once your Q is stacked, especially melees. So what you do is you find the enemy raptor's respawn timer and you have a pathing where you can fight those chickens or enemy grump. So you shouldn't invade in the first place, but you should invade once those camps respawn. And if they respawn and you have even numbers, 2v2, 3v3, enemy jungler will still fight their chickens because they're like, it's 3v3, I don't want to give my chickens, but they cannot win against Hecarim with 3 Q stacks. Very big tip. If you want to pick up Hecarim, you should do that again. As I said earlier, repeatedly abuse enemies' missteps. Now, talking about Ivern, also underrated. A lot of high elo players picked him up again. I am a big Ivern enthusiast as well. I remember back then when I was fully tilted, I think it was like 6 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna pick up Ivern. Now I had instantly 80% win rate, fully enjoyed it. Like I legit had butterflies. I'm always the one who tries to card carry, clearing all my camps step by step. Every click needs to be perfect. And then I picked up Ivern. I just walked to my camps. I take him, I walk to the lane, and I kill him. Like, it was so simple. And I think it's underrated, so I will put him higher than Brand even. He's not A tier yet, but he can be. Again, with the right setup, he is a fantastic pick, very enjoyable, and I would even consider myself making an Ivern guide, picking him up, and playing him for a few games. Nocturne always will be S tier, especially to climb. Very basic, very powerful. His ult is insanely good. His Q, underrated. He gets so much raw attack damage from it. He can stat check almost anything. Use your E's correctly. Wait with your Qs until the enemies are consistently gonna get hit. W at right times. That means when you're Eing an enemy, your fear lasts. And I think it's 2.5 seconds, and then your fear pops, and your W lasts for 1.25 seconds, if I'm now precisely correct. That means after 1.75 seconds of your E, no, bullshit. After 1.25 seconds after you use your E, you're gonna use W. So that means that even if the enemies try any ability to stop your fear from coming out fully, then your W procs. So you don't even need to react. You can also just use it at a correct timer. Okay, let's talk about Jarvan. Jarvan, there's so many nice builds with him. You can go full lethality as Argorin does it sometimes, with opportunity first. You can go Eclipse into Sundra Sky. If you do that, make sure that afterwards you get Frozen Heart, Spirit Visage. You are unkillable with it. And when I make this tier list and I talk about those champions, I want to pick it up myself again for so many champs. But that also shows the love I have for this game. That I see a champion, I'm like, that would be fun playing this champion right now. I have the same right now when I talk about Jarvan, right? Also before, like, okay. So, with Jarvan, a little bit underrated, worse than Ivern. I would say he's better than Brand, so he fits perfectly into B tier. Now, Jax is not a good jungler. Fine counter pick against champions like Master Yi. Very fine counter pick. Karthus, absolutely annoying. Better than Brand, worse than Jarvan. Like, if you play Karthus, you just need to know your full clear so well that you invade enemy blue buff before the enemy jungler finishes Grump. So when he has 16 CS, you already have 24 CS. You need, as Karthus, to constantly stat check the enemy jungler because you're faster than him. The same with Zyra. But Karthus is not as good as Zyra because he's easily killable, whilst Zyra has more distance with her abilities. And Karthus needs to eventually get into melee range to hit his Qs. Now Kayn is for sure better than Gragas, a little bit better than Graves, better than Briar. Yeah, he's tiny bit worse than Fiddlesticks. Kayn has some issues. He just doesn't have enough damage output quick enough. And also before he has his form, he's not that strong. Enemies can fight early dragons pretty well. He cannot really go for early dives, getting the ADC snowball heavy like Elise, Master Yi. These are some issues I face. Also, after he got his form, champions like Xin can just be a tiny bit better. Depending on blue form is a little bit better than red form right now. It's still not, he's just not tanky enough. He just dies way too quickly. That's the issue I have to face. Okay, now Kha'Zix, lethality Kha'Zix is underrated. And I see as Kha'Zix in lower MMR to climb all the way up as actually a very good choice. Full lethality, like you deal an insane amount of damage. I've experienced it now a few times, but he is not better than, let me think. He's not better than Elise to climb with. Like Rengar, Bel'Veth, these are all better picks to climb all the way up. Now Kindred, like especially in the terms of scaling, playing it correctly with your marks, not greeding for your marks, making sure that you're getting your mark consistently, knowing when they respawn 45 seconds after your mark despawned, and 15 seconds if you clear mark, enemy Kindred will see that her mark despawned. For your information, just a little bit extra. She's actually A tier. Very strong. Worse than Rengar, but absolutely underrated. If I was new to the game, I would pick up a one trick, I would consider Kindred. As a one trick, you can punish enemies very well because you know your mark system 10 times better than enemies know. And you also know your damage output with how many marks you have. She can deal an insane amount of damage with time. Talking about Lee Sin from earlier, highly mechanical, needs to play it correctly macro-wise. I made an unranked to master series with Lee Sin as well. You can check that out. Most important is that you have a carry that you constantly peel and make sure that they're safe and fine, always. So I will put Lee Sin. I will put Lee Sin at better than Ivern. He's a tiny bit better. He's a little bit to climb with. He's better. Yeah, this looks pretty accurate. He's better than Kindred. He's better than Ivern, but not better than Kindred. So he's around B+. Very fine to pick up. Very nice to climb with. Lillia is in low MMR actually broken. So I will put her. She's better than Diana. She's probably the best AP jungler next to Amumu. So in order to climb, being a Lillia one trick. Very beautiful. Make sure that you are flashing correctly in the mid-late game. You are a fantastic teamfight champion, so you need to utilize that. You cannot side lane that well, so especially having champions like Fiora that help you de-push the side lanes is very valuable for Lillia. Master Yi, actually very fine right now. I will put him around A tier. Probably B+. I mean, to climb with, he's for sure A tier. You can go full crit, you can go one hit, anything works. You are very fine. A lot of team comps work well with Master Yi. I have to say, maybe that's just a little bit biased because I love playing Master Yi. I have so much joy and he so much potential with him, which I wouldn't have with other champions. Potential in the sense that I can carry games. Maokai, haven't seen in a while, can't really tell because I honestly, as I said, I haven't seen him a lot. I would imagine him to be better than Gragas around, yeah, he's better than Gragas, but not better than Graves. Mordekaiser is not that bad, but Evelynn is 100% better than Mordekaiser. You just need to full clear consistently. If your team is playing it very slow and you can pick up one by one with your ult, the enemies carries, it's pretty nice. But keep in mind that takes all a lot of time and then you get 1 or 2 kills. It takes so much time, while other junglers are getting way more because they don't need that much time to get picks here and there. And if you don't have ult, and in the early game, enemies don't need to respect Mordekaiser. Because how is he gonna gank? He throws 1 E, and you dodge that, and then what? Nothing. So, champions that are having CC options more often, like Viego W on a gank. Way bigger threat. Because enemies need to constantly respect Viego. Morgana, Chris is a Morgana one trick in high elo. I would also say it's underrated because her W can clear so beautifully. Has fine setup, is worse than Brand. He's worse than Grace, but I would say it's better than Maokai, especially to climb with. Nunu, I see a lot of Nunu recently. Interesting champion, very one-trick heavy, not very mechanical. If you're macro-wise completely fine, you can climb very easily with him. You make sure you're playing correctly with your carries. Again, playing with your win conditions. You have the right itemization, and you make sure you're never getting caught stupidly. You use your snowballs to constantly pressure, and you're doing fantastic. Nidalee is worse than Nunu. She's fine in support and in top lane right now, but I don't like her as a jungler. If you play a jungler, play her in the same way as Karthus and Zyra. That means with Karthus and Zyra, you full camp, then you're pressuring bot side. With Nidalee, you should take 3 camps and then invade bot side, not to get the camps, but to get the kills. The enemy's carries cannot farm. You deny them from getting the wave on the tower. You permanently spear, trap, kite with auto attacks, and you make it a very hard time for the enemies. If you don't do that, if you just clear, other junglers are straight up better. Be very careful at that. Now with Rek'Sai, if you play Rek'Sai Titanic Hydra first, you need to one-shot enemies. If you don't one-shot enemies with Rek'Sai, other champions are just better. Therefore, all the other champions, Briar included, my opinion, is just better than Rek'Sai right now. Poppy, interesting situational pick as counter pick in the jungle. Also very underrated to climb with, very, very decent. She is a tiny bit worse than Karthus, but better than Brand for sure. Now, Rammus, not that great. I don't like him. I don't see a reason to play him. Champions, other tanks are just better. Sejuani, for example, is also terrible, but it's just better. Sejuani is also better than Maokai. She's just a better version of the CC chain lockdown she has to offer. And Rammus is it's just too slow. He has 1 engage, then he's useless. You can ignore him so well. If he doesn't taunt you, you can ignore him. And when his W is out, he's also squishy. Like, he doesn't do anything. Shaco is absolutely disgusting and underrated and broken. Get me out. I don't ever want to play against Shaco. Okay, maybe I talked from past trauma in that sense with Shaco. But if you play against Shaco one trick, there's so many cheeses. If you pick him up, learn those cheeses and become the most annoying piggy. And if you don't want to pick him up, ban him. Okay, with that being said, Shaco is insanely annoying to deal with. The only thing I dislike for myself to pick him up is because he's very fast forward, cheesy. And if the cheese doesn't work out, like let's say support Shaco with Ignite Exhaust and it doesn't work out, you don't one-shot enemies level 1 with your Q, and then you're just not a champion. The same with jungle. That's the issue with him. That's why I can't put him on B+. That's why he is better than Kayn, better than Gwen. He is tiny bit, I would put him around here. Elise is better to climb with. Okay, Shyvana, a little bit underrated, better than Sejuani for sure. Underrated. Sylas is not a good jungler. Fine counter pick in the right setup. Skana is not that great right now, but for sure better pick than Sejuani. Pretty tanky. Does his job completely fine to climb with. Always has been fine, but happily he's not meta right now. So he is a tiny bit better than Shaco. I would say around here. Skana is maybe a little bit worse than Shaco. Yeah, he's around here, especially with DPS and CC chain on your team. He's a monster. Talia, draft-wise, beautiful pick. Your team can do so much with a right Talia. You should pick up Talia when you have a Realm Nautilus. Because if you have that, Talia has a very easy time because she has always set up with which she can combo. Also a champion I would love to play. Like, I would love to play a few games Talia. Okay, so Talia, because I love her, is she's better than Gwen for sure. A tiny bit worse than, I think, yeah, she's a tiny bit worse than Brand. Comp wise, she's probably one of the best AP champions you could possibly have. From the strength, she's a tiny bit worse than Brand. So you can imagine it. Now, Talon is actually broken right now, underrated. He's better than Master Yi 100%. Very sneaky. You cannot stop his clear. If you play against Talon, make sure he does not get your chickens on respawn or game is cooked. And if you play Talon, make sure you get those chickens on respawn or enemy Grump Wolves. When the enemy jungler is busy on one side, don't try to counter gank. Try to get his other side of the map and keep snowballing. Rolling, get 1-2 levels ahead. And with that, you one-shot enemies instantly. Teemo jungle, I don't want to see it. It's but better than Rammus. It's funny. Okay, Trundle actually better than Teemo and better than Mordekaiser. Trundle is actually quite fine to climb with. He's very interesting because he does have underrated damage, a lot of damage output, insane 1v1 potential in the late game, insane split push, can take objectives pretty quickly. Teamfight wise, he's terrible though. That makes him not a good jungler. Udyr, haven't seen that much in a while, for sure better than Shyvana. I would say he's also better than, he's quite the same level as Nunu. Not that strong right now. I also don't see that many Udyr players because he's not that strong. So they don't climb all the way up. Even though there was a Udyr player, Denzuge Kamel guy he's called. And he constantly, like, he was playing all day long, every single day. I played against him so often. I'm happy I don't play against him right now. So that's all I can say with that. Volibear, very underrated, absolutely broken right now. Volibear is an absolute broken jungler. You should play him if you want to climb. So I will put him here. Nocturne is a little bit better, and Viego, absolutely fantastic. This is looking great already. Looking really beautiful like that. Volibear, nice CC, nice damage, nice clear, nice taking objectives, nice draft, nice. Vi still very, very strong, better than Master Yi, better than Talon. One of the strongest champions, better than Bel'Veth for sure. Talon is also better than Bel'Veth. And Kindred is better than Bel'Veth, and Rengar is better than Bel'Veth. I think this is pretty accurate. And Master Yi is also better than Bel'Veth. Yeah, she's A-. Warwick is an underrated jungler. To climb with, he is better than Vi right now. For lower MMR especially. Very underrated. A lot of potential. Rumble is not a jungler right now, but he's better than Jax Sylas. In some comps he's fine. Olaf is very similar, a tiny bit worse than Rumble. Shen is, in my opinion, just not a good jungler. But because Shen is broken right now, he can be completely fine. Xin Zhao also very, very, very strong right now. Legitimately one of the best junglers you could ever get. Because he's insanely good with right team comps, especially with enchanters. Like if you have Soraka, Lulu, what do you pick with that? But Xin Zhao can survive for long. That's why having an enchanter with it is really, really valuable. A Zac, tanky, probably one of the best tanky versions you can get. I would say at the same level as Skarner here. And Naafiri still annoying, very strong, tiny bit worse than Bel'Veth and Yi. I just don't like playing against it, but damage output wise, it's not that insane after all those nerfs, but it's still absolutely annoying to play against. I mean, A tier is still very, very good. Pantheon is very, very strong, especially to climb. I would say it's broken. He is probably around Ekko level. Ekko's a little bit worse. I will put Ekko behind Devi. This is now very accurate. Set is not that good of a jungler, but completely fine in terms of his clear speed is insane. His scaling is completely fine. So you can pick him. Darius is still also a very fine jungler. Not as good as Set though. And Yorick is also secretly broken. If you want to one-trick pony him, you can climb heavily to the sky with him. So I'm going to put him in A tier. And Wukong is not that strong right now, but his ult is just broken. Always will be broken. And that's why you can make him work against melee champions that need to walk into Wukong. Very hard to match that. Like, for example, Master Yi, Pantheon into Wukong. Wukong has a very easy time playing against that. I mean, Pantheon in general is probably somehow fine against Wukong. But melee champs, like, Wukong is good against nice melee champions that have to walk up towards him so he can use his Q and then has all his ults to defend himself. So he's a tiny bit worse than... he's worse than Jarvan. I think this is a very accurate tier list. And this is how I would say it. Now, you can skip back to all the champions you want to see, but you already watched it, KW. Now, again, a lot of people would probably disagree with me. I can already tell, but I don't care at all. This is what I would recommend you to do. S tier champions, if you can play them, pick them up. If you enjoy playing, you should always play what you enjoy. But if you enjoy playing what is broken, then you are in a beautiful position. A lot of potential with this tier list to climb, and also what to play against and what you should ban. And I hope you enjoyed this. In the next videos, I want to do more and more educational content. If you're interested in coaching, just DM me on Discord. I offer one-on-one coaching sessions, but you should check out my course before any coaching. It is in the description, everything. And I will see you on the stream, and we're gonna push for our 60,000K. What the fuck? No, 60,000. Take care. Much love, and have a beautiful remainder of your days.